Too often, fishing and nature conservation are seen as being mutually exclusive without recognizing that it's perfectly possible to balance conservation with sustainable harvesting. Can you set out what your party will do to strike the right balance, especially in inshore waters, where the new Scottish Government will be bringing forward plans for fisheries management measures in marine protected areas?
I'm happy to kick off with that. Well, my previous response was that there are some models that on the offshore that appear to have been widely accepted and welcomed, that it's not a blanket ban approach. And again, that's what the HPMAs were going to be. Just we'll pick an area on the map and we'll ban everything without actually looking at maybe marine areas of special interest. So whether that's mineral beds or whatever that need protected, or just a blanket ban, which is not acceptable. But we need to look at the socio-economic impact as well of that, the critical mass of fishing in an area, which then goes on to support harbours and the infrastructure around that. So it's incredibly important to take that into consideration. But the NGOs and sustainable fishing should go hand in hand. And for generations, that's what fishermen have been doing. They've been, they're not going to fish a population of their sector to death, and they've been maintaining that for generations. I've got a great example where the cockle fishery in the Solway had been closed, but collaboration between scientists, fishermen stakeholders, Nature Scot and so on are looking to produce a gold-plated cockle fishery which has environmental standards right at the heart of it, but also potential for generating £20 million for the local economy in Dumfries and Galloway. So there's lots of good things being done between environmentalists and the fishing industry, and that needs to be the heart of the industry going forward. But it's not new. Fishermen have been doing that for generations, and we need to make sure that the government actually steps up to the mark and assists the industry and scientists to work together in collaboration to make sure that we can go forward at pace. Because at the moment there's not a lot being done to develop new fisheries, to look at opportunities. So that's something that's got to be really key to it as well.
So I think we absolutely do need to work together. I think that the SNP is clear that we need to protect ecosystems. We need to use evidence, good evidence and research to determine the state of our areas, including our marine protected areas. So I think that we need to be obviously working collaboratively, and Finlay has given a good example about how the research, the scientists, and working together with the fishers, it's absolutely key that we need to do that going forward. And I think that the government is committed to genuine collaboration and working with fishers, and because that's partly where we end up getting our evidence and our research, and scientists working together. So that's something that I think we need to absolutely keep going forward with.
Are there any more sort of specific measures though that you can mention that are going to be brought in with marine protected areas and encouraging productive fishing as well, just in response to Hannah's question?
Well, I think the marine plan that is under review right now. I think Richard Lockhead produced the last marine plan. I think that was 2015, I think. So that is being updated, and because I think we've got more collaborative portfolios working. So as I said earlier, Gillian Martin in Net Zero and Marie Goujon as part of her islands and fishing portfolio. Everybody's working together now. It's better than maybe previous silo approaches in the portfolios. I've seen a lot more engagement in the ministerial working together as well as going out and supporting. So in terms of specific policies, I don't have the detail on any of that at the moment. I just know that the government is committed to collaboration and science and evidence in order to support sustainable fishing in the future.
Thanks for the question, Hannah. And I know that you're based in Orkney, and there's been that recent issue around the conflict between bottom-toed gear and hand dive scallop divers, and that concern that sector is just going to potentially lose their fishing grounds because of that conflict. So I think it comes back to what I said earlier about getting politicians, scientists, and fishers in the same space together, and the NGOs. And so then it comes to me about a question of governance. Like, how are we actually governing? And at the moment, there's the RIFGs and the IFMAC and lots of different spaces for having conversations. What I'd love to see is something along the lines of more local governance. So we have that. We see that as a great model that people point to. Not all of it people say is perfect, but what Shetland has, more of that around Scotland, where actually local communities are all stakeholders. I think we also need to acknowledge that there's more than just fishers, and we need to get everybody in the space together and have people recognizing that we need to support our fisheries. It's fishing. I grew up in Scotland, and I remember when I went to the West Coast as a kid, there were fishing boats in all of the harbours. Now when I go around the region, and there are very, very few, and that's shocking to me. So I think it is about getting people together and really recognizing that conservation is actually essential. It's what I was saying earlier about the ecosystemic approach that we need to be taking, and everybody needs to be on board and understanding that is the case. And the other piece that I also hear is that fishers say, well, why can't I fish the cod stock? I look over, I look at my radar, or I look overboard and I see all these cod. So there's a better conversation that needs to happen around why the international models are saying it's not possible to fish this at this time, to help that understanding, so that people really realize, so fishermen understand that they are part of the story as well, rather than international science saying we're going to impose these quotas on you.
Can I just, do you mind if I just, again on that, the Greens support a lot of NGO organisations that it's all about slogans, it's not about actually policies and science-based research. Far too often we hear that we want to have a 12 nautical mile ban on bottom trawling without any research, without any impact assessments on what that would mean for communities. But it also means, and parties like the Greens would rather just have the very rich eating scallops, because that's what would happen. If there was a ban on bottom trawling, the only people who could eat seafood would be the very, very rich, because the cost to hand dive scallops, and actually there's not enough people hand diving for scallops to serve the restaurants in the UK, never mind those who want to export or those who want to eat them at home. So we've got to get a balance, and at the moment it's very polarised, so we need science to come in and we need to get people around the table, but the slogans about banning bottom trawling or whatever are certainly not helpful, because they're not based on any proper scientific facts.